nice to see you today.
Nice to see you.
How have things been going?
Okay, I guess. Mainly the same.
Okay, so because we really haven't gotten into therapy yet, we're just trying to get you ready to start the therapy.
Right.
So the first thing I want to do, because you brought your workbook
Yes.
back, and do you have your self-monitoring log that
I
you
do.
filled out?
I do have that.
Okay, let's look at that and just see how often this behavior is happening.
Okay.
The anxiety is going on. So, and are all your days probably typically the same?
Most of them.
Okay, so let's look at this day that you filled it out, okay? So you woke up in the morning at 7 a.m. So as soon as you wake up, you immediately want to check all the doors?
Yes, immediately.
Okay, so, and you do that, when you check doors, you do it three times?
Yes.
You go around and check all the doors, and then you do it
Go
again
again
and again. Okay, until you feel like that anxiety starts
to go down.
Yeah, and it does, I guess, after you've done it 3
Yes.
times. What happens if you don't do it 3 times?
I feel like I gotta go back and do it again.
Do it all over again, okay? So, and you say that probably takes you about 5 minutes every time you check the doors. And you put that your SUDS level or your anxiety level was at 80?
Yes.
That's pretty high.
Yes.
Okay. Was on this day, was your husband home?
He was during the day.
Okay, at this
Yes.
time he was during
Yes.
the day. Okay. So let's look at what happened. So you didn't record anything the rest of the day
No.
until you got home. So you don't have any of this anxiety at work or any place else?
No, just at home.
Just at home. Okay. So you arrived home at 5 o'clock. So as soon as you get in the house,
I
check
the
everything?
doors. Yes.
Make sure they're locked?
Yes.
Okay, and you did that 3 times. And you're still recording. You record on every one of these that your SUDS level is at 80.
Yes.
Okay? And that it takes 5 minutes every time. So let's look how often you felt that anxiety and that compulsion to check the doors. So you say it got dark about 7 p.m.
Yes.
And so when it gets dark,
get a little anxious.
Okay, and so you went around and checked the doors again 3 times. And then you say your husband works nights, and so he left at 9 o'clock.
Yes.
So you immediately, as soon as he leaves, you
check the doors.
Check all those doors. And then you say, okay, you got ready to go to bed at 10. And of course, I guess you check the doors again 3 times. And then it shows after that, you get up every hour, at least when your husband's gone.
Yes.
You get up every hour to check the doors.
Yes.
Okay, that has to be very tiring.
Yes.
And very stressful for you. And you say that your SUDS level was 80 on every one of those. So your husband worked nights this week, but he was home during the day.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about the rationale for this therapy again. What we're going to do, we will be doing some, because only when I'm in your home we'll be doing some therapy actually there. But when we're here, we'll be doing some imaginal exposure, where I have you imagine these things and imagine the worst thing that could happen. Okay? And as you see, as you're here with me, because hopefully you feel safe here in my office and safe with me, and if I'm at your home, you feel safe. As you see that your anxiety decreases when you don't check, that the very worst thing didn't happen when you didn't check the doors, you'll see that your anxiety will decrease. And you'll see that that happens more and more. And then hopefully the checking behavior gets less and less as you see, as you don't do it, that the worst possible thing doesn't happen. It sort of reaffirms that it's not going to happen the more you do it. Okay? So we're going to work on a treatment plan today. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a hierarchy. So we're going to do this in here. Okay? No, let me do it on something else. Okay? So we're going to create a hierarchy for you. And because we want to start your therapy gradual. We don't want to start at the worst possible fear that you have. We want to gradually get there, because that's a little more comfortable for you. So tell me, do you have this checking behavior or this obsession anywhere else but at your home?
No, it's just at home.
Okay. So let's start. So you don't have it at work?
No.
And you don't have it at anybody else's house
No,
or
just
anything?
my house.
Okay. So let's start at your home. This checking behavior. When is it the least anxiety provoking?
At home,
Yes.
the least is during the day when my husband's still there.
Okay. So you don't get as anxious and you don't have to do your checking behavior as much, during the day when he's at home. Okay. When would you say then it rises a little? Maybe during the day when he's not at home?
If he goes somewhere during the day but it's still light outside, it rises some.
Okay. So you do your checking a little more often.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Then when is the next step that it starts to rise again?
Probably when it's dark, but my husband is there, but when it gets dark.
Okay, so when it gets dark and your husband's at home, so when is the worst time?
The worst time is when it's at night and it's dark and he's gone to work or somewhere else and there's no one home with me.
Okay. And then what's your fear that what is going to happen if you don't check the doors?
Well, I'm afraid that I would leave the garage door open or the back door would stay unlocked and someone would get in the house.
Okay. So this would be sort of the hierarchy that we go through. And remember, we're using the SUDS level, and you use that when you're monitoring what you're doing during the day. And 0 is no anxiety at all, and 100 is absolutely unbearable. And you've been at a pretty steady 80, so we want to see that come down. But as I teach you how to do these different exposures and practice those at home, you'll also be using that SUDS level to see where your anxiety level is. So for today's Wednesday, for the rest of the time till I see you again on Monday, I want you to continue doing the diary or the self-monitoring logs.
Okay.
Record all those events so that we can look back at them and see if they're changing any. Then in your workbook, I want you to look at the section called Understanding Exposure and Ritual Prevention Therapy for OCD, so that what we've talked about, you'll be able to read about that in your book and even talk about it with your husband.
Okay.
Then, since we aren't meeting again till Monday, we've scheduled a phone call on Friday at 5 o'clock, and I'll be calling you and asking you, okay, tell me about your monitoring, what's going on, tell me how you're feeling, and, if you have any questions or any concerns. Okay, so we will meet again on Monday, and we'll actually start some exposure therapy on Monday and teach you how to do that when you're at home.
Okay.
So do you have any questions?
I don't think so.
Okay, does the treatment sound okay
Yes,
with you?
it does.
Okay, so I will call you on Friday at 5, and I plan on seeing you